E papawarangi takune mahi he tu kore matak iyo.
Nestled deep within the crystal blue oceans of the South Pacific, roughly 1,100 nautical miles off the northern coast of New Zealand, lies an exquisite tropical paradise. Stretching an expanse of over 300 islands, the Fijian archipelago encompasses one of the most vast and biodiverse coral reef ecosystems in the world. Unfortunately, not all is well in this paradise, for even as far removed as Fiji is, the reefs here are still plagued with the same anthropogenic disturbances found worldwide. What was once a pristine and thriving ecological community, this system, like many others, struggles to survive the burdens of overfishing, rapid development, and countless other global threats. These biodiversity hotspots provide nursery habitat and structure for a tremendous number of species, in addition to acting as a buffer zone from harsh wave action to adjacent shores. In spite of their unarguable importance, corals, not only here in Fiji, but globally, have experienced a drastic decline within the brief span of just 2 decades. It has been estimated that roughly 80% of these vastly productive, species-rich, and economically influential ecosystems have been decimated, some to the point of ultimate extinction. Without a strong central government or solid infrastructure, hope for the recovery of Fiji's coral ecosystems and regulation of the country's fisheries may seem to some dismal at best, but that I have found is not the case. Traveling to the renowned coral coast of Viti Levu, Fiji's biggest island, I discovered something else entirely. A unique system of community management handled solely by the people. A grassroots approach, if you will, to local conservation. Fascinated with this method so different from Western practices of top-down control, I wanted to know more. How was the system regulated? Was it working? And perhaps most importantly, what was the people's mindset in all of this? What I uncovered was a peculiar blend of culture, ancient tradition, modern conservation techniques, and some surprisingly memorable lessons worth passing on. Here are the stories, from people not so different than you and me, of their unique tale.
Back in my school days, when I was a small kid, just by observing back those times, tend to understand that there were very beautiful corals out there in the marine life, in the habitats there, right from the breakings and right up to the beach or to the beach fronts. And there were beautiful trees right on the beach fronts. And there were no seawalls. And in the sea itself, with these habitats where the coral were growing, they were so beautiful corals, and they were nice. They were attractive to people. And from there, fish were attractive to eat, and its biodiversity. And it was so beautiful in the morning, in the daytime, or when right at dawn. With color extractive, with so many beautiful colors that the coral are giving underwater world, and with the background of the beautiful environment of the coral coast. It was just so beautiful. It was classic, that's the word that I could use. To me, there were so many big fish, different type of species of fish, unicorn fish, groupers, all those big fish that we see. We used to go out there, like if I cook cassava this morning, I should tell mom, cook some food there. Just within 2-3 minutes, I go out there and bring out big fish. That shows that there were abundance of fish and beautiful corals, because they have plenty things to eat on.
Unfortunately, despite the value of local reefs for the subsistence of the Fijian people, decline of corals in these waters has occurred well within the last 20 years due to destructive fishing practices, overharvesting, and relentless development.
Back in the last 20 years that I've been here, it has gone worse than what I've seen before. In the past, I remember when way back that the corals was all over the place out here. That's why they in this case it's called the coral coast. But now there's no more corals in here. That's because there's a lot of developments going on, and we were not aware that there was lots of rubbish that was dumped into the sea, and none of us was aware of that. Even at the village level, we have just came to know just about 10 years ago that there is a problem.
We go out fishing, we'll bring the smallest fish to the biggest one, and we'll come and stock them into the cooler and have them within 2 or 3 other days. Eh? Before there was no fridge. Everybody eats fresh food. Eh? And it happens to the vegetables too, not only to the fishes. Eh? Vegetables, we just go harvest them, bring as much in as you can and just come and keep it in the cooler, and then you can have it for 2 or 3 days. Eh?
If the fish, when they go fishing, they use a special type of food called duba. It's a poison one. So when the fish get drunk, and when they get drunk, they swim around, and they go under the coral. When they try to get the fish out, so they have to break the coral. Break the coral and get it. Only just a small fish, only that much. So they damage the whole coral just to get fish only. From that time until now, I have seen a lot of change because I stay here all my life. I was born in here, I stay in here, I know everything about life creatures in that particular place.
In a country rich with tribal culture and ceremonial traditions, the Fijian people have relied on their lands and adjacent seas for over a millennia. Ancestral villages each cared for their own fishing grounds, or goli-golis, denoted to them by their customary fishing rights. Conservation management of these areas historically was often short-lived and consisted of ritualistic practices such as seasonal bans and temporary no-take areas called tambus. Even the early Fijians relied on basic methods of community conservation, if not only for the sake of survival.
From our understanding, our elders used to do that by conserving the reefs when someone dies, especially a traditional chief or someone who is a leader. So we kept that for tambu areas, or to conserve that, and then the next 100 nights for after that leader passes, and then we go out and get those fish back.
Today, 410 goli-golis remain in place, with 217 designated tambu areas. Although these tambu areas are still sometimes used in the traditional manner, many have now been put into place on a more permanent basis and are used for marine resource management and protection of overexploited regions. With help from certain NGOs, scientists, and the University of the South Pacific, communities are beginning to blend scientific knowledge and modern-day conservation techniques with their long-practiced customs to form what has come to be known throughout the Pacific as locally managed marine areas. These LMMAs are run solely at the community level. Each village decides, depending on their needs, where these areas will be located and how big they can afford them to be. In this way, the people are taking the responsibility of conservation into their own hands.
We have now noticed that the hotels have been dumping rubbish into the sea, and we've been pointing fingers at them. But now that we knew that we are the ones that we should be doing our conservation first before we point at the hotels. And since the hotels has been upgrading their systems and all, and so it is our turn now that we have to do it. That's why we have been having treatments where we treat our grey waters and our black waters in the area, and having workshops in the villages, and training the ladies with conserving water and the usage of water, and for them to have the awareness of what happens if there is a wastage of water, or there's a lot of water they're using unwisely, and what happens to our environment around us.
Okay, I was very lucky when I've been chosen from this district, and I sent to Suva, to the Marine Department and the university to teach me about the life creatures in that particular place. So from there, when I received a certificate out of that, then I was so happy doing this to protect the reef for our generation. Because in my time, when I was young boy, I was one of the people who damaged the reef. I do that. I say no more. No more damaging the reef, and now to save a particular place, to think about our generation.
Not only are the people of this district, or Tikina, taking the initiative to try and restore their reefs, but it's of utmost importance to them. No longer blaming the destruction on others, they realize that if they do not protect this fragile ecosystem for not only themselves but future generations, that no one else is going to. And although there is much work still to be done ahead, this locally managed system seems to be working.
After marking the place as a marine park, very little fish from the time when we started the marine protected area. Very little. No big fish. The fish are in a group. There are not so many. By this time, 2:11 now, I went out on yesterday afternoon, and I have found out that there are thousands of fish back in that particular area. Thousands.
Now, while it is unlikely that this system of management could work all around the world, the concept of taking individual responsibility for the conservation of our oceans is a lesson worth taking to heart.
We should have a close look to our environment. We should have it like a day-to-day basis. It's like you stay in your house, you clean it every day. You should do the same to your marine life. If you clean your house every day, you should clean the marine life every day. If you plant every day, you should go and plant there too every day.
Coming to the end of my journey, I developed a new perspective on how conservation was being managed in other places. From the people, I had learned how the system was regulated, and that it was in fact working. Yet I had one final question. What more needed to be done? Not even just here on the Coral Coast, but everywhere.
The very important thing that I think that should be done in the villages is the awareness. If they don't have any idea, which I presume that most of the area around in Fiji don't have that idea of what is going to happen if they don't look after their area or look after their marine life or their environment. What is going to happen to it in the future, and what will their generation to come will suffer from that. And I think it's my part, as I believe, is for me to try and spread this gospel around, try and get it into their lives to understand what's the importance of it. It's not only for the future generations, but it's for even us who are living now in this world here. And I think it's only a good thing that everybody has to come around and work together to try and improve the environment, which is at the moment I would say it's deteriorating, and the government has doesn't have much funds or doesn't have finance that could assist us. So it is up to us or how we're going to handle it.
As a global community, we must not simply rely on others to conserve what we are all responsible for. Each and every one of us must come together, take action, before it's too late, not only for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. There is much we can learn from these people indeed. Theirs is a unique tale, with a message for everyone. For the ending of this story is one that will affect us all.
Sinona ko si